Welcome to the Krista Escamilla Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's show. I'm so happy that you're here. And I want to start off by saying happy day because, well, you know, in the podcast world, you could be watching on a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday. So we're not going to say happy Thursday. It is Thursday. But we're going to say happy day. We hope you're having a good one. We are so grateful for today's guest. Today's guest is Tracee Bentley, and she is the president and CEO of Permian Strategic Partnership. Tracee, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me back.
I'm excited. We have visited over the years. I believe it was 3 years ago when you moved here to Midland. Gosh, that went by fast.
It sure did.
We blinked. And so much has happened now with PSP, so I cannot wait to dive into all that you are doing now. But before we do so, I want to thank our sponsors for today's show. We want to thank West Texas Premix Pits, Rig ID Workwear, and Midland Cap and Cup. Our sponsors keep us going, so thank you, thank you, thank you. We cannot thank you enough. Our show today is going to highlight an amazing partnership with the community and the oil and gas community, and really with everyone in the Permian Basin. Tell us a little bit, Tracee, about, first of all, how you got here to West Texas, and then we'll dive into PSP.
Yes, I love to tell this story. So I come from Colorado, and I was running what was called the Colorado Petroleum Council at the time, which is an oil and gas trade association for the state. And I loved it. I was primarily in the policy and regulatory and legislative space, and loved what I was doing, loved the people that I worked with. And then really one day, unexpectedly, a company member who also had assets here in the Permian came to me and said, "Have you heard about the conversations going on in the Permian?" And I said, "I have not." And he said, "Well, we're trying to form this brand new organization, first of its kind, to really bolster economic activity and community engagement with then 20 of these companies."
And what year was this? I'm trying to think
This
back,
was
2018
at the end of 2018.
Okay.
It was right after the 2018 election.
Gotcha.
And I said, "That sounds so neat, and I hope it's very successful so that we can replicate it." And he said, "Well, I'm actually calling to see they're looking for a CEO." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "Yes. With my prior work with then Governor Hickenlooper, the governor of Colorado, and economic development and public-private partnerships," he said, "I think you'd be a really good fit. Some of us do. Would you at least entertain it?"
Right.
And I never even considered really leaving Colorado. And I was pretty happy with what I was doing. But I said, this almost sounds too good to be true. So I looked into it, put my name in the hat. And before I knew it, I was packing my bags and loading a truck to move to Midland. And I will tell you, though, in between there, I got a lot of visits into Midland. And some of them, my husband came with me. And he said, "We have got to move there." He said, "It feels like home already, and I can't imagine living anywhere else." And this was before we even bought a house. So we fell in love with it almost at first sight.
And I think I met you maybe week one of you
think
being
you did.
here. Because I was like, "What do you love about Midland?" You're like, "I just moved here. Let me think. The people." You said the people. And I was like, "Yes, the people are amazing." So now 3 years later, what do you love about West Texas?
The people are still number one.
Yes.
I can tell you that. And I will tell you this, I was sharing with Krista before we got started, is I have so many friends and family members who come from Colorado and really other places to visit. And they all leave saying, "We understand why you love it there."
Yes.
Because everywhere we go, they are treated with such kindness and such warmth. And you just don't find that anywhere else. So it truly, truly makes a huge impression on people.
It hooks you and
hooks
pulls
ya.
you in.
That's exactly right.
Well, we're so glad it pulled you in. Tell us a little bit about PSP and all the amazing things you're doing here. First of all, what is PSP?
Yes. So the Permian Strategic Partnership, or PSP, is an unprecedented coalition of now 16 oil and gas companies. We started as 20, but due to mergers and acquisitions over the past year.
Right. Gee, what caused that?
We have,
Just kidding. That's a whole other podcast.
we have 16 now who have come together under one umbrella. And who want to transform and make the Permian Basin an even better place to live, work, and raise our families. And we have 5 key areas that we think are going to help us do that. And that's education, healthcare, workforce development, roads and infrastructure, and housing.
I love that. And I feel like you have done that so beautifully. Every time I see PSP in the news and I open the paper and I see a headline, I think, "Oh, they're getting those targets." That is fantastic, because that is what was needed. Anyone that came here to the Permian maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago saw where there was deficiencies in those areas, and now you're starting to bridge the gap. Let's talk about one of the things that is bridging the gap. First of all, the Skill Point Alliance. That's something very exciting recently.
I am so excited about this one. So we, like everybody, have noticed just a huge gap in our skilled trades. And I'm not even just talking about oil and gas. I know we're all in the oil and gas business in the Permian, but it's hard to find plumbers and HVAC folks and electricians that are so badly needed even outside of the oil and gas industry. And so we said, we know that we have very, very talented folks out there who can fill these jobs. There's a reason why they're not. Well, it turns out because they're just shy of a couple of skills that we know that they can learn. And these are really, really great paying jobs and something that we know that we're going to need for a long time. So we said, what if we could get that quick, and by quick, I mean a couple of months, intense training to give them the certification that they need to then go out and either start their own business or be employed at with a great wage. And so we searched and we found Skill Point Alliance.
Fantastic.
And they said we can come in and set up shop, and we're targeting the underserved, but it's really for anybody and everybody. We want to meet you where you're at in your career.
I love that. Also, veterans. We have, I believe it is over 20,000 veterans here in West Texas that could use our support. And you are backing that up by helping them out. Tell us what you have done with PSP.
Yes, this is also one of my favorites.
I know, mine too. I mean, our veterans, they really,
goodness.
we are here today because of them.
I mean, we really are. So our goal, I will tell you, is to make the Permian Basin the most veteran-friendly region in the country.
Wow.
And we think that we can do that. A couple of things needed to happen. We needed to assess the resources that we do currently have for our veterans, and then we needed to identify the gaps. And so we did that last year. The good news is we have some great resources. They just probably need to be a little better coordinated. And then the gaps that we have, we are confident that we can fill over time. So we recently passed the second phase of America's Warrior Partnership. And it does two things. It establishes a home base here for the Permian to help coordinate the services like we just talked about, not only for the veterans themselves, but for the veterans' families.
I love that.
To make sure the kids and spouses are all feel like they are supported and loved. And that's everything from education to healthcare to job opportunities. And then speaking of job opportunities, our industry is in desperate need of skilled workforce talent right now. And so we want to give veterans from across this country an opportunity to come work for us and show them we want you here. And when you get here, we're going to support you. So yes, I'm so excited.
Yay. Thank you. And thank you to all of our veterans. And if you're watching, thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we have to take a quick break. It's going to be a fun break, though. Don't go anywhere. You stay here for this break. Before we do that, really quick, you just donated $10.6 million to UTPB, which is such a beautiful, not only beautiful facility, but the educators that are there doing their job day in and day out are just outstanding and love what they're doing. And you can get a first-class education right here in West Texas. Tell us about that partnership.
You can. So to your point, who knew that one of the best nursing programs in the state is right here at UTPB?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't.
I didn't either.
Now I know.
You just said it.
The other part of that is even pre-COVID, we know that we had significant nursing shortages in our region. And then COVID hit, and that just exacerbated it tenfold. So we wanted to figure out a way to partner with somebody to fill those nursing slots as quickly as we could with homegrown Permian Basin residents, because we know the best retention rates come when we grow our own.
Absolutely.
So we took an already successful program and expanded it, and we also included pre-med in there so that we can start growing our own doctors.
Oh, I love that. That is fantastic. And that was not there before. That program was not there.
That's a new program.
That is so needed here in West Texas. We have amazing doctors. We need more. We need more people come here and pour in, what you love to do here, because the people here will appreciate you. Of course, coming to West Texas, and it is a great place to live, like you mentioned.
Such a great place.
I love that! Yay, PSP. Okay, now for the quick break. It's 10 after, and so we're visiting here with Tracee Bentley. I love quotes. So Tracee, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, I do a daily quote every day. Every morning I put it out there because I just want to spread more positivity into the world. And so I love to hear what other people's favorite quotes are. So let's go ahead and reach in there and pick out a quote of the day.
Okay.
All right. What is today's quote of the day?
I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Maya Angelou.
I love that one. Isn't that the truth? That really is the truth.
It is the truth.
10 years from now, people, they won't remember that one little thing that you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. If you made them feel warm, if you made them, just anything, if you gave them that positive word of encouragement, they'll remember that feeling.
Absolutely.
What does that quote mean to you?
For me, I think it goes back to really what is the heartbeat of the Permian, and it's not what's under the ground. It is the people who live in it. And so while we're talking today about all the things that PSP and others are investing in monetarily, it's really an investment in humanity and in the people who really make this region, and for that matter, the country and the world, successful. And so I think every day, yes, we're funding programs, but really our goal is to really change people's lives. Not only the new nurses, for example, that we want to see in our hospitals, but those who are going to receive the care from those nurses.
Right.
We view it as an investment in humans and kindness.
I love that. And do you have a favorite quote that you live by?
Oh my goodness.
I know there's so many.
I know. How to pick one. I wasn't prepared for this, Krista.
Sorry. I always like to hear everyone else's favorite quote. I love it.
I know, you're right. And there are so many. Can we come back to that one?
Sure,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are no rules. That's the great thing about podcasts. Wait, there is kind of one rule. I don't really talk politics. That's the only rule.
I think that's a great rule.
Yeah, no politics.
More people should adopt that.
Yes, but with that said, not talking politics, what do you want the rest of America to know about West Texas and what we're doing here and the good work that we are doing here?
Oh my goodness.
Politics aside.
Yeah. Well, telling the Permian story is one of the most favorite parts of my job, because people by and large don't know what the Permian is, its significance, or honestly even where it's at. So I love to start off by telling, did you know that there is one region in the United States that has the most significant and vast energy resources of anywhere in the world? And people say, really? Here in the United States? I said, it is. Yeah. I said, it's a region called the Permian Basin. We're only 880,000 people about, but we're the size of Minnesota, 86,000 square miles. They say, wow, so it's really rural. Yes. Did you know it's in West Texas, southeast Mexico? And they said, no. Like, people are just astounded when you hear these numbers and then you hear where we're at. And then we start talking about everything that comes out of the Permian that we all so desperately need and rely on, especially right now with what's going on. And people are just speechless. Right. And then I say, and imagine if we didn't have the talent in the workforce that we needed to get you that. Right. I said, wouldn't that be a travesty and devastating? I say, yes, it would. Yeah. That's why investments in the Permian are so important.
Yes, I could not agree more. And I love your focus on education as well. And hopefully we have a lot of young women that are watching today. And I would like to ask you, what would you suggest to, just a young woman that's maybe starting her career off and getting started, whether it's oil and gas or not, it could be any business for that matter. What would you say to them to encourage them to pursue their education and to really get the skills that they need to be successful like you in the workforce?
Well, and like yourself also, Chris, I know we're on the heels of International Women's Day.
Yes.
And it was a nice reminder and a time for me to reflect on all of the strong women that have really encouraged me and pushed me to think big. When I was a young girl, I wasn't very good at math and science and some of the STEM fields, and I always felt very intimidated.
Speaking my language.
Right.
Speaking my language, Tracee.
But looking back, I wonder, had I had somebody at that young of an age push me and say, of course you can. Yes, you
Right.
can. What that would have been like.
Right.
And I just spoke about STEM because that's one of my areas of weakness, but it could be anything for anybody.
Right.
And you never know when you're going to change another woman's life when you say, you're not thinking big enough. Of
Right.
course you can do that. It's not even a question. And you and I probably both had those people in our lives. And I don't think I would
Absolutely.
have had the courage to take the world by the tail, in my 20s and say, yeah, I can, because I've been told that I can.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And that's why I have this sign right here.
Yes.
Dream big, because you have to dream big, because if you settle, you're always going to feel that yearning like you didn't do enough, or and it's not even about, because everyone you're enough where you're at.
Yes.
But I just want you to know that you can do anything
Yes.
that you put your mind to. And that doesn't mean that what you're doing is not enough. What it means is that, hey, that little goal that you've had in the back of your mind that you think, oh no, I'm not good enough to do. Yes, you are. You are good
Yes,
enough.
you are.
And I think more, men and women, I think more people need to hear that. They need someone going, you are good enough. You can do this. You go get get the education it takes. Do the hard work.
Yep.
It will take you places.
And really, nothing's too big.
Yes, I agree. I could not agree more. With that said, what in the oil and gas, where do you see people that, maybe there are some holes where we could fill? Is there anything that someone maybe is thinking, okay, I could go into this, what they should focus their efforts on?
Absolutely. One of our initiatives that we haven't revealed the results yet, we call it the Catalyst Project.
Okay.
Because we saw a disconnect between what maybe some of our community colleges and junior colleges were offering as far as the skilled trade classes and the more technical, and what industry was really needing. And to be fair, industry changes quite a bit, right? And
right.
so
It just changed.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like,
As
really,
we're
that's how we
speaking.
feel. I mean,
Right.
It does. You're right.
And so it's no wonder that
Right.
community, and as soon as they get curriculum and staffed up, industry changes. So, but we knew that was really important.
Right.
So we did an assessment of what's out there from our wonderful colleges and universities, who are truly, truly wonderful. And then what does industry need, not only right now, but we want to look into the future so that we can plan. And so we were able to bridge the needs and the resources and the gaps, so that, to your point, if you're looking for a job in the Permian, here are the top 20 most needed. And I will give a little spoiler alert here.
I love that. Spoiler alert.
It won't surprise you that electricians and mechanics are in that. But one
Okay.
thing that really surprised me was accountants.
Oh, really? That surprises me too. I would not think that was a hole that we need to fill here.
And it's a pretty big hole.
Really?
So, for all those aspiring accountants out there, we may be your place.
Oh, I love that. Well, and thank you for the little spoiler. I love that, because I love to let people know that their skills and their gifts are needed, and if that is what you're good at and you love that, there you go. You could get into a oil and gas company as an accountant, and they need you right now.
Absolutely.
Or an electrician, or I think that is fantastic. I look forward to hearing the rest of the results
Yes.
from that. What are some of the other things that PSP has done? Because when you and I first visited, it was so brand new. And it was just starting to just get out the door. Now, I mean, y'all are full sprint. So what else
so.
are you excited about?
Last year, we worked with UTPB again, University of Texas Permian Basin, on how do we, to the STEM point, how do we really get our kids in elementary school more STEM exposure? Because we know, data shows, the more they're exposed, the more they understand it, the more they like it, and then the more they're inclined to keep going with it.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is, I think this is nationwide, but because we're so rural in nature, access to STEM can be far and few between out here in the Permian.
Right.
So we really feel strongly that everybody who wants access to that curriculum should have it. So we worked with UTPB to train more STEM teachers that then will go out and populate our public schools, to really give them that one-on-one experience with students, which I think is desperately needed. And here, very soon, I I want to come back and talk to you about a really big STEM announcement they're about ready to make.
Ooh, I'm excited to hear it. Yay.
And this one
we look
is
forward
big.
to that.
Yes.
But we can't give a spoiler alert today.
I would get in trouble if I spoiled that one.
And I don't want you in trouble. It's time now for our question of the day. Ding, ding, ding. I feel like confetti should fall or something when I do this. But go ahead and pick out a question of the day. Okay. This is just a fun question to get to know you more.
Ooh, brave.
Ooh, yes. She got the brave card.
Tell me something about yourself that I wouldn't find in your bio or resume.
Oh, I'm excited. That's a good question for you. Because, I'm excited to hear your answer.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, growing up, and I was actually really, well into my young adulthood, I was a big-time tomboy. And I was terrible at hair and makeup. In fact, I hated it. I was much more into things that girls aren't, and one of my passions and thing that I loved the most was metal shop and welding.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That is awesome. See, I would not know that. Just meeting you, I would never know that you did. That is fantastic.
Yes. And to this day, now to be fair, I haven't welded for a long time. I still challenge my husband every now and then. I'm like, I'll take you on in welding.
I love that.
I love just being able to say that and knowing I can probably do it.
Right. Because you loved it growing up. That is so cool.
Loved it.
Oh, I love that. That is fantastic. See, and I think there needs to be more of that in school. I think we need to continue that because I never hear about woodshop right now anymore. I just don't hear about it like I did when I
haven't heard about that for
growing
years.
up in the 80s.
Well, I also grew up in the 80s.
Yeah, so I remember it was a big deal.
It's a huge deal.
Oh, that's fantastic. Okay, my turn really quick. And remember, these questions of the day, I want you to think about it at home too. If someone was asking you this, what would you say? So I was a gymnast growing up and I could do a backflip through a hula hoop. There you go.
My gosh.
There's my one thing that you will never, ever see on my bio, ever.
Also, I'm super jealous. A gymnast I was not.
It was fun. I definitely enjoyed it. Could barely do a cartwheel today. That's about it because, the body will hurt too bad. I'll need Advil. But yeah, there you go. So think about it. What's the one thing that people would not find on your bio? I think that's an interesting question.
It is a good one.
So yeah, I love the question of the day. What about books? I know you're so busy with business and also a parent as well. We'll get into that in just a minute because, I don't know about you, but mom and wife are my favorite titles really to go by.
Absolutely.
But do you have a favorite book in your spare time that you like to read or that has inspired you?
So I usually try to keep on my short list a nonfiction and then something just for fun that I don't have to really think about too hard or want to go, dissect, which is hard for me in my personality. So, but most recently for fun, I read Where the Crawfish Sing, the Crawdads Sing.
Yes.
And I highly, highly recommend it.
That's actually on my top 10 I want to read list. I have not read it yet.
I loved it. Once I got started, it's one of those I couldn't put it down.
Oh, I love that.
I found myself at 1 a.m. still reading. I'm like, you have to go to bed.
Oh, that's good.
It was
that's great.
wonderful.
Oh,
yes.
I love that.
And then my nonfiction is, it's a fairly new book. I think it came out late last year. It's called The Map.
The Map, okay.
And it talks about the importance of world energy production and kind of how it lends itself to, it's politics come into play certainly, but really who holds all the cards when it comes to international affairs, and a lot of it's due to where energy is. And they have a whole section on the Permian.
Really? Okay, I'll have to put that on the list. I love that too. I love it when anyone mentions the Permian. Like you could literally say I don't know, Permian, and I go, oh, the Permian. Or, oh, I'm going to go visit my uncle in the Permian. Oh, the Permian. We actually were out of town recently and someone said, oh, my sister just moved to Midland. And we went, what? And we were pretty far from Midland at the time. And I loved hearing that people are moving
So
here.
last weekend, Krista, I won't take very long, but we were in Savannah, Georgia. And we went to this restaurant that's on the must-dos list of Savannah. Now, I think it's called the Old Pink House. Anyway, we're sitting in this little tiny place. And we hear the couple order next to us, and the waitress said, where are you from? And she said, oh, West Texas. And I said, where at? Midland. The waitress was like, I have no idea where that's. I said, did you say Midland? Well, it turns out I know. And so we ran into them at the airport, and this woman was like, is there anybody else out from Midland? Because this is so random.
Right.
It is.
I know, but
we got so excited.
I know, that's how we are too. We do the same thing. We're like, oh, you're my new best friend now that you have, a family member in Midland. But I love that. Okay, back to the parenting. Let me see how we're doing on time. Oh, we're doing great. Okay, we've got more time. You are a mom of two? Three. And they are in their 20s, which is a lot different than 10s and 15s, right?
It is. You have older kids, so
I run the gamut.
Yeah.
I've got 20, almost 22 down to 13. So yes.
So I think you may agree that as they get older, they get more independent, but they also get more expensive for a time.
Yes. And I thought it was going to be
phase.
backwards. I don't know why. I thought it would flip, but no, you're right. What is your best parenting advice for anyone that maybe that's been given to you that has really helped you become the mom that you are?
I think one of the best pieces of advice and something that I applied that has paid me back tenfold is always make it safe for your child to be honest with you, no matter how hard you think it will be for you to hear. So, as our kids get older, they experience new things and they, start dating and all the things that as a mom, you're like, okay. But I found as hard as some of those things were for me to hear them growing up, I did more listening than talking. And as a result, they come to me and they want to talk to me about things that I don't know that every child has that relationship. And so I'm sure you're the same way. Being non-judgmental and just allowing that open flow of communication has been the best thing
that is great advice. I love that. And it's almost a different relationship as they get older than when they were little. Like I feel like, I had the little kid thing down. Like I can be fun mom. We can go do all the fun things, but when you start to get to the serious stuff, it's like it takes on a whole new.
New. And me being able to adjust for that was challenging, but I said I have to.
Yes. Good advice. Thank you, Tracee. We are running out of time, and I'm so thankful for all of you for listening, and of course, thankful for our guest, Tracee Bentley, with Permian Strategic Partnership. At the end of every show, we like to share the love because it's our little way of paying it forward, giving back, sharing the kindness, because that's what we need in this world. And so we like to highlight a nonprofit that we're going to be donating to at the end of every show. Do you have a favorite nonprofit that we can send our donation to?
I do. I think there are so many amazing nonprofits in our area, but there's one that I'm volunteering with right now, and it's CASA of West Texas. And our foster care system needs so much more support and those kids. And speaking of kindness and treating everybody how we want to be treated, I think CASA serves a very, very important need, and they are in desperate need of resources. So I would love for it to go to CASA West Texas.
Okay, and that's where the donation will go. Thank you so much. Were you at the luncheon the other day?
I wasn't.
Oh my goodness. The guest speaker, his story was amazing and had all of us inspired and in tears. So you're right. CASA of West Texas is amazing and can use your help as a volunteer or donations.
Yes.
So fantastic. Thank you for
doing that.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for letting us highlight them, and thank you for sharing your story. How can people find you and PSP on all the socials?
Yep. So PermianPartnership.org will have everything we talked about today and many, many more things. We're on Twitter at Permian Partnership, and then on LinkedIn is the same. So follow us.
All right. Thank you, Tracee, for making the Permian a better place. We appreciate you and all that you're doing. And all of you have so many supporters within your organization, and we thank them too, because the Permian is a great place to be.
Pretty amazing.
So come move here with us. We want more. So come join us. That's the end of our show. Thank you so much for joining us for the Krista Escamilla Show. We want to thank our sponsors, West Texas Premix Bits and Rig ID and Midland Cap and Cup. And hey, if you want to be a sponsor, call us. You can find us. We're online. Follow me on all the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook at Krista Escamilla. And we would love to connect with you. And if you have a story you want to hear, let me know. We would love to have you in the chair or someone that you know and share their story, because everyone has one and we can all learn from each other. That's it for today. Don't forget my mottos: dream big, believe in yourself, and never give up. We'll see you next time.